Metabolic Health Summit 2024, what's going to be going down. First, maybe share a little bit about what, I know your followers want to hear what you've been up to lately, because I know it's never boring what you guys have going on in the lab and just research-wise. If you want to share a little bit about what's happening, that would be great. And then we'll dive into MHS.
Yeah, absolutely. So at University of South Florida, Morsani College of Medicine, where I work, yesterday I was teaching neuroscience and action potentials, all that, neuropharmacology. We have a number of different projects going on, starting up cancer projects. We have a study looking at different metabolic disorders, including POMC disease, glycogen storage disorder type 2. Some interesting research going there with the POMC mice. I teach medical students and mentor medical students that are using continuous glucose monitoring and looking at their responses to allulose administered with RX sugar bars. And so getting some really exciting data and information on that I'll be sharing soon. Yeah, and actually today I had on the field of metabolic psychiatry, had a really interesting interview with NPR, just interviewed Hannah Warren and Brett Shear, talking about on a live, Q&A live, just talking about the emerging field of metabolic psychiatry and the role that ketogenic diet plays in mental health. So lots of stuff going on and just getting ready for MHS.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not bored over there, that's for sure.
No.
A lot of exciting things are in the works for sure. And that live Q&A was incredible, by the way. It's really exciting what's happening over on the Metabolic Mind front and what they're doing. And if anybody wasn't able to join that live Q&A, you can actually check it out if you go to membership.metabolicinitiative.com or just metabolicinitiative.com and then click on membership. You get 7 days free, and so you can view the live Q&A inside the platform. It's a medical education platform dedicated exclusively to metabolic health and metabolic-based therapies. And it really dived into so many different facets of mental health, but also cardiovascular health today, because of course, Dr. Brett Shear is an amazing cardiologist, as well as an expert in ketogenic therapies for mental disorders. So it was really eye-opening. And then of course, Hannah has got an incredible story. I mean, going into remission with bipolar disorder, using ketogenic metabolic therapies is just so exciting and unreal, really, to hear her story and what that means for so many other people suffering. So thanks for hosting that great live, Dom. And now you're joining back here again live. So
yeah,
why don't we dive in to Metabolic Health Summit 2024. It's coming up January 25th through the 28th, which is literally starts next Thursday, which is wild. And I thought we could kind of briefly give people an overview of sort of what to expect, and maybe you chime in on some favorites of things that are coming up, or maybe some folks that are talking as we go. Just to kind of give people a rundown of what the 4 days entails at the conference. And I just want to mention that if you can't join us in person, you can join us virtually. Virtual tickets are available, and you have access to an amazing, robust platform where you can connect with other attendees. You can actually video chat with brands. You can watch all of the presentations live, and then you'll have access to those presentations through February 16th. So you don't have to join us live if you don't want. You can watch us at your convenience as well. So why don't we start with Thursday? So Thursday, of course, is kind of like our check-in setup day, where we've got exhibitors coming in. We've got a little over 40 brands that we have partnered with, sold out space of people, really a quality expo every year. But this year we've got some really exciting brands that are going to be participating that we can kind of go into detail in a little bit about. But the event really kicks off around 5 p.m. that afternoon. And we've got an amazing keynote lecture by Dr. Walter Longo. And his talk title is Fasting Mimicking Diets in Disease Prevention and Treatment. Dom, I know Walter, he was at the very first MHS when it wasn't called MHS and has done some amazing work. I mean, really since the inception of the conference up until this point. I mean, he's on Netflix, he's doing all kinds of outreach. Maybe you can share a few words or thoughts about Walter's work and your thoughts around that.
Yeah, excited to have Dr. Longo back again. He has spearheaded really ketogenic diets from the perspective of a fasting mimicking diet and the benefits you derive from fasting, sort of incorporated into a protocol and a dietary therapy that is called the fasting mimicking diet. And he's published probably almost more than anybody else on the topic of fasting, all the beneficial effects. He has a long history of doing research historically on calorie restriction pathways. Um, I'm actually teaching a medical neuroscience course this week, and it's kind of a coincidence. I have my lecture notes here, and one of the case reports is a diet mimicking fasting promotes regeneration and reduced autoimmunity in MS. So not by coincidence, but it just happens to be a lecture that I'm giving the day that MHS is starting. So and I'm running over and joining MHS, but I'm teaching, medical students and neuroscience, and someone had asked me about this, so I incorporated it into part of my lecture. So fasting mimicking diets and a lot of the research that he's doing has implications for neurological diseases, autoimmune disorders, and many of the benefits that you'd get, from impacting pathways associated with longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting, the research around fasting specifically. And I'm really thrilled that he's going to be sort of helping us launch the conference for the weekend, just because his work has been so instrumental in our field and furthering, the exciting research around fasting. So why don't we dive into, then of course, that night we've got a welcome reception, which is really a great event. It doesn't even showcase it on the agenda here, but we've got incredible book signing with, I think, between 7 to 10 signers, some of which are our speakers, some of which are other thought leaders that are going to be jumping in. So you actually have an opportunity to connect with somebody like Dr. Longo one-on-one, and get them to sign your favorite books. Barnes & Noble will be there selling their books. And so that's a really exciting opportunity for people to actually engage with a lot of these clinicians and academics that are doing such great work. And what I love is that collaborations come out of this too, right? So one of the best things about the event is sort of the networking opportunities there. So this welcome reception is really just that. We've got, some great appetizers and book signings and drinks, and we've got our expo will be open. It's sort of like the launch to the expo. It's a whole lot of fun. Friday, we actually have a few different symposiums. We've got the metabolic therapies for neurological disorders. We've got metabolic therapies for cancer symposium, metabolic psychiatry. We're diving into exercise physiology. And we've got some really great special interest forums hosted by our partner presenters as well, diving into all kinds of things from mitochondrial function to, enhancing human performance. I mean, really try to cover the bases. When it comes to diving into just a wide variety of topics that affect our metabolic health. So we kick the day off though with beach yoga. So we try to encourage people to also, it's sort of like a full circle experience, from the food we serve to, yoga on the beach, some activity in the morning. But Dom, do you have any thoughts around some of these symposiums, what you're maybe most excited about? We've got some really incredible speakers from Dr. Christopher Palmer, who's going to be back with us again, to, Dr. Jeff Volek. Really the lineup is incredible. Do you want to comment on any particular talks or sessions that you're most excited about for Friday?
Yeah, well, the root history of ketogenic therapies or metabolic is epilepsy. So I think it's kind of fitting to start off with neurological disorders, and we have some speakers there. The first one, Abby Hernandez, and it's great to see kind of really young talent, super wicked smart talent, like joining this field. And her research I was involved in collaborative research at University of Florida, where she was mentored as a PhD student by Dr. Sarah Burke, spearheading Alzheimer's disease research with ketogenic therapies. So I'm really excited to hear her talk on the topic of targeting the gut-brain axis in aging and Alzheimer's disease, sort of a provocative, innovative idea. And I know she's an NIH-funded investigator emerging into this field. And we have speakers talking about the implementation. Of course, we have Dr. Chris Palmer. I've got his book
I
here,
love it.
Brain Energy, as with Dr. Ead's book, Changing Your Mind, a fantastic books. I'm just getting through her book now. So that'll be a super interesting way to kick off MHS and then metabolic psychiatry field, where we'll have Matt Bazuki talking, and he'll be part of the panel too on his personal experience managing bipolar disorder with ketogenic metabolic therapy, and Ian Campbell too, another person, Ian being a research scientist, a PhD, someone who has experienced bipolar, discovered the ketogenic diet, effectively put it into remission, and is now a researcher in this field. So very unique speakers that you won't find at any other conference, spearheading very innovative research in very important fields.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited that metabolic psychiatry is like a track, and hopefully that will be kind of set the paradigm and precedent for other conferences to include this as an important topic.
So important. I mean, it's really going to change the mental health field as we know it. And it's exciting to have just these forward-thinking folks with us all under one roof, not only, on the clinician academic side, but also the patients too, right? So, so much of this it's so important to have that voice, because much of this getting sort of propelled forward is because patients are going to their physician saying, hey, can we try this? Is this an option for me? And as soon as that physician sees maybe some of the benefits that unfold, there's no turning back. And then usually that physician ends up at Metabolic Health Summit because they're so intrigued by what's happening. The Metabolic Therapies for Cancer Symposium is also we've also got an incredible lineup there too. But we have a patient specifically there, Chad Vanags, who, hopefully I said his last name right, but he has a fascinating story. He's an entrepreneur. He got a really brutal cancer diagnosis. And Dom, you actually did a podcast episode with him recently.
Everybody check out that podcast, and his talk will go into a lot of depth and on other topics. And but that podcast was very eye-opening, and I think it gives a very unique patient perspective when it comes around sort of the psychology of being diagnosed and how this can impact and motivate the trajectory of your life, having this diagnosis.
Yeah, for sure. You can find that on our Metabolic Health Summit YouTube channel, by the way, if you want to watch that episode. It's really inspiring. We've also on Friday got some metabolic meetups, which are really great for any professional, not just even healthcare professionals, but patients and caregivers and business industry leaders to meet, sort of a common place for them to meet. We've got it booked into the schedule, so you actually know where to go to meet with people who are like-minded just like you, which is really exciting, because that's where some really cool collaborations happen, whether it be in business or in research. We've also got our scientific poster session, which is one of my favorite parts of MHS. We've got researchers from really around the world who are showcasing much of which is unpublished research that you really won't see anywhere else. You can really just like walk the rows of posters and engage with these scientists that are presenting this exciting data from all over the place, and do so while enjoying a glass of dry farm wines and networking with some amazing people. That's hosted by Keto Mojo, which is one of our great longtime partners. And then we've also got a reception kind of going on, and then our VIP mixer that evening as well, which all of our speakers attend that VIP mixer. So it's really an opportunity to engage in sort of an intimate atmosphere with them. If you want to connect with the speakers during the evening, it's from 7 to 9:30. And for those just jumping in, we're talking about Metabolic Health Summit 2024. If you don't have tickets yet, you can get in-person and virtual, and just head on over to metabolichealthsummit.com, where you can see all of our speaker lineup, all of our the brands that will be there in the expo. It's got a ton of information. Why don't we jump into Saturday real quick, because we've got another action-packed day that starts with yoga. From there, we've got a metabolic therapies for metabolic disease symposium. We've got optimizing metabolic health symposium. We've got a roundtable discussion on allulose, which I know you'll want to touch on really briefly, Dom. And then we've got some metabolic meetups again that day. We've got some metabolic meetups for physicians and dietitians and healthcare providers, you name it. And then Saturday evening is going to be a really special evening because we've got our virtual poster session. So if you're not joining us in person, you can actually see the scientific poster session through the virtual app, which is really cool. And then we've got our gala dinner benefiting the Max Love Project and the Charlie Foundation. That's really just a ton of fun. You know, we offer low carb dining experience. We've got some great entertainment. We've got some awards to give out, which, by the way, Dr. Mary Newport is our recipient for this year's David Shevak Pioneer Award, which is really, really exciting because she's got some incredible work going on. And my printer might go crazy here, which is going to be, I don't know if you can hear that in the background. I apologize in advance, but anywho, Dom, do you want to share any sort of highlights for you on this day? Because it's just packed full of amazing speakers.
Yeah, it's like an overwhelming amount of things going on. But, you know, the metabolic therapies for metabolic disease symposium is going to be really interesting. I'm excited to hear what Peter Crawford has been doing. I've been really keenly interested in his work for a long time. And as a pioneer, an MD, PhD in this field that has been working in the ketogenic therapies or ketones in general for like the last decade. And Brett Goodpaster, I have not actually met him before, so I'm super interested in meeting Brett and hearing, you know, what's happening on the Advent Health side in regards to exercise as medicine and health. And of course, near and dear to my heart is Dr. Andrew Kutnick, who did his PhD under me in the lab on cancer biology, specifically cancer cachexia and mitigating cachexia with ketogenic therapies. Andrew is at Samsung University under Sam Klein and working with that group, really advancing the research on dietary therapies for type 1 diabetes. And Andrew is also doing remarkable work in regards to education outreach in the type 1 diabetes community. Not a week goes by where I don't get contacted by people who have type 1 diabetes, where Andrew has been a huge inspiration to them. Mm-hmm. So great to see Andrew again. Just so much going on. And optimizing metabolic health symposium, sort of just along those lines. I mean, it's super important. Dave Feldman and Nick Norwitz will be talking about lean mass hyperresponders, which is super important. Nick Norwitz will be sharing a title, a talk of a title that's entitled Cookies and Cholesterol Controversy. So what could be more provocative than that? Testing the lipid energy model and provoking scientific discourse. So they're doing some really innovative work on the front of understanding in elevation of LDL in the context of a lean mass hyperresponder phenotype, where other biomarkers are in, you know, the right direction. So they will be sharing some very recent, extremely recent data, like literally just coming out now, and some information on that. And yeah, just and the allulose, the roundtable discussion on allulose, which I have been really impressed with the metabolic effects of allulose or lack of glycemic effects, but also the potential for using allulose as a strategy for cancer management. It's transported via the glucose 5 transporter, kind of blocks fructose transport. Many cancer cells are highly upregulated in GLUT5 for growth and proliferation. So sort of interested in that, but handling all the questions associated with that. There's RCTs on allulose, really interesting emerging science. Allulose being kind of like the preferred go-to sugar alternative, making the ketogenic diet more palatable, which is really an important direction of the field. We need to increase compliance to the ketogenic diet and palatability. Yeah. So that's something that will be discussed.
Yeah, that'll be a really fascinating deep dive, especially to some of the heavy hitters that are on that roundtable discussion.
Dr. Rick Rick
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah, I'll mention real quick. Dr. Jeff Volek, who's advisor for allulose research, Dr. Ben Bickman, Dr. Andrew Kutnick, and I'm honored to be sort of part of a team of researchers that are really working to advance the science of allulose and kind of understanding it not only as a sweetener, but as sort of a nutritional therapeutic in some ways, some very interesting functional properties with
Yeah.
allulose. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's really exciting. One of the most exciting, I would say, sweetener alternatives or alternatives to sugar in a very, 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 very long time. That's kind of hit the scene. So, we've got some amazing partner presenters this summit all around. You know, we've got, of course, so much research that's happening in the ballroom. And then we've got some incredible, on the sort of the consumer side, some incredible brands that are really furthering the research too on that side. You know, from Genova Diagnostics to Timeline Nutrition, Fatty 15, Keto Mojo, all will be presenting some exciting, hosting some exciting presentations with some really great speakers too. Dr. Andy Galpin, Dr. Nisha Winters. We've got, you know, such a cool lineup this year for sure. And then of course, Sunday is not, you know, any different in terms of, you know, being action-packed as well. We also start the day that day with beach yoga, and then we've got our metabolic health for human optimization and longevity symposium, which is really just a great session. So, you know, we try to keep people there to the very end and put this exciting session on Sunday because you really don't want to miss it. And we want people to kind of stay with us on Sunday. And I know that people will because we've got some great talks happening from, you know, Tommy Wood, who's going to be discussing dementia prevention, to Kyle Gillette, and he's going to be diving into hormone health. Lily Nichols, which she really is, you know, exploring just a whole new world of low carb nutrition for pregnancy, and you know, both prenatal, during pregnancy, postpartum. She's really kind of flipping our current guidelines up on on their head when it comes to just the books that she's written around it. And she's a dietitian. And then of course, maybe Dom, you can speak to Chrissy and then Anna's talk as well. Got some great, great up and coming folks at the conference this year doing great work.
Amazing people, super interesting topics. Anna talking about, can exogenous ketones help people age better? Very provocative question. Be super excited to see that. And very near and dear to my heart is Christy. So Christy has been just helping us out in so many ways, you know, as an assistant, as sort of as a researcher. Had the opportunity to meet her a few months ago in Canada, in her territory. So we'll be covering a muscle-centric view of fasting response. And Christy, soon to be Dr. Christy, will be showcasing some of her work, her PhD dissertation work, and really excited to see what she's up to, and just excited to have her as what used to be an assistant for the conference, now a speaker of the conference, and probably will be a big sought after speaker. And great to have Tommy Wood back again. His presentation was like a favorite, and it's great, you know, put him at the end too, so people will spare him. I mean, but every person presenting has just so much to offer the metabolic health community, and so many interesting and emerging topics.
Yeah. For sure. It's really an action-packed conference this year. And like I said, we do still have some in-person tickets left. We also are offering virtual this year as well. So if you can't fly out to Clearwater Beach, Florida, even though I would highly recommend it because it's a beautiful location where we're hosting the conference this year, so much to do around the hotel, and just you can make a vacation out of it. But if you're not able to come, you can jump in online and you can watch the presentations all the way up through February 16th, which allows for you to really watch at your convenience, and you're getting sort of the cutting edge research on metabolic health and therapy all in one place. You won't get this anywhere else. So you can head on over to metabolichealthsummit.com if you've not checked that out. And Dom had mentioned a few podcast episodes. We've got a podcast called The Metabolic Link. If you've not seen it so far, you can head on over to our YouTube channel and check out some amazing episodes Dom's hosted with actually a lot of these speakers that we've got here. Also on our public side of our podcast, but then also on our private platform, which is a medical education platform, the Metabolic Health Initiative, that is open to the public. There's also some amazing live Q&As in private episodes that you can gain access to there as well. If you go to metabolicinitiative.com and click on membership, you can learn more about that and jump in for free for a week too. So we've definitely not been bored over here, busy with all the things. But Dom, what are you looking forward to most? I mean, I head out on Monday to see you guys in Florida here this upcoming week, and looking forward to all of it. But what are you looking forward to most?
Seeing you, Victoria.
Oh.
Definitely. I'm not kidding. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
But I think for me, the probably the thing that I look forward to is just seeing people face to face and networking. I mean, I've been kind of across the internet, meeting with people on Zoom calls and things like that. But just experiencing the energy of what happens when you bring people together with a common interest to really advance metabolic health and the science and the application of it, and just the synergy between all the minds and the people who have such a high interest in this field, at such an amazing venue, an amazing location. So that, hopefully, as typically happens in Florida this time of year, the sun is out, the temperatures will be nice, and the beach will be amazing, and the sunsets are unbelievable on Clearwater. So it's one of our favorite spots. So just
Amazing.
super excited for all these things.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. I always leave feeling really just inspired by all the work that's been happening. It's nobody really sees, sort of like, everybody's got their head down, they're working hard, and then you kind of all come together, and it's just this explosion of innovation and excitement around where we could go with this field of metabolic health and therapy. So I can't wait to meet you there in Clearwater, Dom. It's going to be a great time. And for anybody watching that doesn't have tickets yet, you can still grab them at metabolichealthsummit.com for a little longer, but don't wait to get those tickets. And I'll hope to see everybody watching there. And Dom, I look forward to seeing you here really soon.
See you soon, Vic. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dom. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.